Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Often in class I talk about the fact that I really use this technique of placing a hand over the heart space very frequently in my life, and I'm not talking about doing that just on my mat practice or in a class. I'm talking about the fact that I very often bring my hand to my heart space throughout the day at different times in a subtle way, so no one probably really knows what I'm doing. And what I wanted to talk about today is why I do that, why it is of benefit to me, and why it's a reflection of some of the yogic practices that we've been looking at over the past few months. So according to our teacher, Sri Krishnamacharya, and also according to many ancient texts, the heart space, or the hridayam, is the seat of consciousness. It is the seat of awareness, or what is called in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, the seat of purusha, perception. And the qualities of perception, or the qualities of awareness that are talked about in some of the commentaries to the Yoga Sutras, is that the heart space that contains the purusha is unchanging, is pure, is stable, eternal, and is unaffected by the experiences that it is aware of. And therefore, yoga explains to us that normally we're living in a world where everything is subject to change, and we pin our hopes on many things with the idea that those things will not change. So we try to create a particular circumstance, whether it be in work or whether it be in a relationship or whether it be financially or even spiritually. And then we try with all of our effort to the best of our capacity to try to keep things the same. And basically yoga tells us, well, that is futile, because eventually, whether we like it or not, something is going to change. And so therefore the guidance from the ancient yogic texts is that we should anchor ourselves into something that is lasting and permanent and unchanging. And it tells us that our awareness, our consciousness is that. And so many yogic practices, ideally, are bringing us away from the superficial connection to the body, although via the route of using the body, which is asana, and using our breath in order to slowly calm our minds, so that we can penetrate deeply into our center and begin to feel and experience for ourselves the nature of that awareness that is at the root of all of our experience. And so the idea is that with practice, we gradually become more and more cognizant of this unchanging, peaceful awareness in our heart space. And the more and more time we spend resting in that space, the less and less dukkha or suffering we experience in life, because we begin to become aware of the circumstances of our lives arising within a much vaster seat of awareness, which is unchanging. And so our true identity, if you like, or part of our true identity, is that space which is unchanging. Therefore, any practice that we can do that brings us back to the heart space, where we can visualize a sense of connecting to something peaceful and unchanging, can be profoundly beneficial for our state of mind. This is the reason why when I meditate or when I do other chanting practices, I often practice with one hand on my heart space. And the visualization that I use, which varies from time to time, is that there is an ocean of peace residing in my heart space. It is vast and unchanging and powerfully silent and peaceful. And the mantras that I use when I'm chanting connect me to that feeling. And then I gradually associate that feeling with the space in the heart center, this hridayam, this heart space. And what happens day by day, week by week, month by month, is that it becomes more and more easy to get to that place during practice, because the more we practice, the more we become familiar with how to let go into that space and how to let go of the distracting thoughts and how to focus our attention in a one-pointed manner to this space in the heart center. What that then means is that when we're not practicing, meaning that we're not sitting on our mat doing a formal sadhana or a formal practice, it means that in our day-to-day lives, we can always take an opportunity to come back to that space. So for me, I notice that whenever I'm feeling a little bit stressed, whenever I've been triggered by a certain situation, or whether I notice my breath becoming a little bit fast or a little bit shallow, the first thing that I do is I just calmly place my hand over my heart space. And even if it looks like I'm doing other things in the world, I might be sitting on a bus or I might be engaging in something else at the time, there is some gentle inner focus coming back to that ocean of peace in the heart space. And as a result of that, what it tends to do for me is it brings the pressure out of the situation. It helps to just slowly calm me from the inside out. And I gradually relocate my awareness to the inner space. And therefore, that allows me to detach from and be able to see from a fresh and more calm perspective whatever it is that has triggered me. So for each one of us, we may find that the visualization or the technique is slightly different. And again, that is a key part of Krishnamacharya's teachings, which is that what works for one person based on their own patterning and their own conditioning doesn't necessarily work for the next person. And that is where we need the assistance and the support of an appropriate teacher who can recognize the practices and techniques that are going to be beneficial for ourselves in our own unique circumstances. But that said, if we don't have a connection to a teacher in that way, we can always try just to, in our practice, to breathe slowly and calmly, to place our hand over our heart space, and just see if we can cultivate a feeling of peacefulness, of shanti, when we are breathing, and see if we can notice that feeling arising in the heart space. And gradually, as we reside there more and more, day by day, week by week, we can then take that technique, take that tool, take that feeling with us out into the world, and know that whenever we need it, that simple gesture of placing the hand over the heart center can help us gather ourselves inwards once again, find ourselves in a place of mental equanimity and peace, and therefore execute our duties and responsibilities and actions in the world in a way that is much calmer, in a way that is much more peaceful, in a way that is responsive rather than reactive. So as always, I hope that you found this video useful. Do try some of these things in your own time and see how you experience them for yourselves. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you again here very soon. Thank you.